Health. I'm Tori Petrie. Green Bay won this one 31-24. So let's bring in my co-host Anthony Bellino down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. Anthony, this was a hard-fought game for Detroit against a very good Packers team, and we know that the Lions were beat up in this one. But one thing to note before we go any further in this post-game show is that Matthew Stafford left this game with a rib injury. We don't have any more updates, but we will keep an eye on that one and see what we hear from the head coach, the interim head coach, once he heads to the podium. Anthony, what did you make of what the Lions were able to put together against the Packers today?
Well, to be able to score on the opening drive, I thought for the Lions was very important to get off to a hot start, something that this team has been pretty good of so far this season. And then to have the game at 14-14, you and I were talking right about it at halftime, and it's like, hey, this team is still in the fight despite not having Kenny Golladay, despite having an injury ravaged secondary and defense as a whole. This team is still in this game right now, and this team is still fighting. Then we entered the third quarter, in a quarter that only saw 3 touches of the football, and the 2 possessions by the Green Bay Packers totaled over 16 minutes in time of possession. That right there, to me, that was really the story, because their offense got the football. They accumulated first downs. They ate up a ton of clock throughout those 2 possessions. They were able to score 2 touchdowns. They did force a Lions 3 and out, and the Lions only retained the ball for about 80 seconds in that third quarter, and that was really it. That's where Green Bay started to pull away from this one, because if you look quarter by quarter, the Lions were right there with them. They just happened to lose that third quarter 7-0, and to me that was the story for the game for this team. Yeah,
those 2 clock-eating drives were really the story. The key stat on this page here is that time of possession. That first drive coming out of the half for Green Bay was 8 minutes and 49 seconds. The Lions went 3 and out, and then Green Bay followed that up with a 7-minute and 49-second drive. Both of those were touchdown drives for Green Bay. So those were really the 2 key drives in this game that were the turning point. But like you said, Anthony, the Lions really hung in this one. The fact that they were tied 14-14 at the half was really impressive considering the start that Green Bay had. Green Bay really got off to a hot start, scoring on their first 2 possessions, but I thought the Lions defense really settled down. Then they were able to get a stop there just before the half. Green Bay had the ball with under 2 minutes to go. Enough time left to score, but they forced them to punt, and the Lions win. They had the ball with under 2 minutes to go. Enough time left to score, but they forced them to punt, and the Lions went into the half all tied up. So it really was not a bad performance by the Lions today. They just were overcome by an offense that was just really, really good today. Aaron Rodgers, how about his performance today? I mean, he was tough to stop, and this Lions secondary was very beat up. Plus, Everson Griffin along that defensive line, he is on the COVID list. You look at the comparison between the 2 quarterbacks, though. I mean, both quarterbacks really had a good day in this game. 290 yards for Rodgers, 244 for Stafford. 100.6 quarterback rating for Stafford and 133.6 for Aaron Rodgers. Of course, he has 3 touchdowns. The Lions had 2 rushing touchdowns to go with Matthew Stafford's 1 passing touchdown. But, Stafford was not the quarterback who finished this game for the Lions, Anthony. Chase Daniel stepped in, and I will say Daniel looked pretty good in the portion of the game that we did see him play.
Yeah, 3 for 6. I mean, he was really slinging it. And going to those numbers there by Aaron Rodgers, remember, they had the big catch by Devontae Adams early in this football game, which, a lot of yards after catch there for Devontae. They got him into the end zone. And then they had the catch, I believe it was to Valdez Scantling, I want to say, in the corner of the end zone. Very good coverage in that front right corner of the end zone. Great coverage, actually. I mean, you just got to make a play, and sometimes good offense beats good defense. But outside of that, those 2 touchdown passes right there, you kind of highlight them in the fact that Devontae, he got away right down the middle. That's one thing, but the coverage on the second one I thought was really good, and the offense just happened to make a play. You mentioned Matthew Stafford going down, took that shot there as the team was trying to make that drive and that push inside the 5-yard line. Stafford takes the rock on his own, gets the ball down there, tries to go down and get down as quickly as possible. Big time collision, and then he got up a little weak, and then by the time he handed off the ball in the next play, he went to signal for the touchdown. His arms went up, and his arms went immediately right back down, and he started to grab his side, and that's when it was kind of like, okay, he's dealing with something right now. But for Chase Daniel, I mean, this is why they signed him.
Sure.
Veteran presence, give the team an opportunity, give somebody a functional option here in case of emergency, break glass, and here comes Chase Daniel, and he did. He looked pretty good. Threw the football around in the limited opportunities he had today. He threw it around pretty good.
Yeah, Anthony, what impressed me most about what Daniel did was the way that he was able to step up under pressure. I mean, he was getting a pretty good amount of pressure there at the quarterback spot, but the the pass that he threw when he stepped into that game, he threw in the face of pressure just before he took a hit, but he got that ball out and, was able to complete the pass downfield. So it was plays like that that really impressed me with what Daniel was able to do. Of course, he did have a touchdown where he ran the ball into the end zone, but that touchdown was called back on a holding penalty, so it did not count. The Lions ended up settling for a field goal, followed that up with the onside kick attempt that, as we know, was not successful for the Lions. But I was impressed with what Daniel was able to do. I mean, like you said, that's why the Lions signed him, and he stepped in and did a pretty good job. But Anthony, I do want to touch on this Lions defense and what they were able to put together out there today. Obviously, it wasn't a perfect performance by any means, but how can you expect a perfect performance against Aaron Rodgers and that Packers offense? What sticks out to me is that the Lions were so injured in this secondary, with Desmond Trufant on IR, Jeff Okudah inactive for this game. And then, partway through this game, Darrell Roberts goes down and Mike Ford has to step in. I thought Mike Ford did a really good job, breaking up a pass there in the end zone and eventually forcing the Packers to kick a field goal. But the Lions really were able to put together a decent performance on defense, considering all the injuries that they had.
Yeah, really, all things considered, I mean, they were pretty good. And Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys that you're going to have to get after him. You're going to have to hit him early. You're going to have to hit him often. And the Lions just were not able to do that. And when you have injuries in the secondary like the Lions have had, it makes it more of a challenge to be able to get pressure on the quarterback, because the quarterback can get the football out a little bit earlier, just because you're looking at the different caliber of the player. It's not a knock on anybody, but hey, there's a reason a guy is listed as number 1 on the depth chart and another guy is not. So when you have some difficulty getting any pressure on the quarterback, it makes the secondary's job. When the secondary is having trouble trying to cover, it makes it more difficult for the front 7, especially the front 4, to be able to get some pressure. No sacks on Aaron Rodgers. We saw the effect of quarterback pressure. I mean, Matthew Stafford got hit a whole bunch of times in this football game. He was sacked 4 different times and lost 31 yards in this football game because of the pressure that Green Bay was able to bring. So the Lions defense, all things considered, did a pretty good job. They were right there. I mean, it was a 1-score game. I think it's about all you can ask, and you're tied at halftime with an opportunity to come out in the second half and win this football game. You just couldn't do quite enough to get over the hump against Aaron Rodgers. And when you're playing a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, like, you're going to have to make some plays eventually, and it just didn't happen today.
Yeah, not just sacks, but took some hits as well. I believe that's the kind of play that he got injured on, was a quarterback hit. But on that same drive was that pass downfield to Marvin Jones Jr.
Oh, yeah.
It was ruled incomplete after a review. I don't know about that one, Anthony. Regardless of whether it was a catch or not, it looked to me like his toes were in bounds on that one. But what a play from Marvin Jones Jr. He was really important for the Lions today. 4 receptions for 48 yards, averaging over 12 yards a catch. But it would have been a lot more than that had that play counted.
Yeah, it was a beautifully thrown football, and
Absolutely.
Marvin Jones made a heck of a catch. I'd actually like to throw a challenge flag. I would like to challenge. I want a replay on top of the replay to make sure that 100% it wasn't a catch, because you look at the butterfly effect here, right? If Marvin Jones, if that is ruled a catch, then you don't have the play where Matthew Stafford has to scramble and ends up getting hurt because the football's already inside the 5. So kind of how all of these different things sort of relate, but it was ruled no catch. It still was a fantastic grab, no matter which way you slice it. I mean, Marvin Jones, and I think he came up a little dinged up from that play as well, getting up a little gingerly, but it was an amazing heck of a catch.
It absolutely was. Absolutely was. It was a fun one to watch on replay. Just unfortunate that it did not end up counting for the Lions. But of course, the Lions did score on that drive. Just took them a little bit more time to do so. But, Anthony, we look at this game and this Packers team that is leading the NFC North. The Lions, obviously, their season has not gone the way that they wanted it to. They had to make a coaching change and a GM change partway through the season because the season has not gone how they wanted it to. So what do you take away from a game like this where the Lions are able to hang for the most part with the Green Bay Packers?
Well, I think that, there's no such thing as a moral victory for the guys in the locker room and for the staff. They needed to win this game. They knew that the last 4 weeks of the season were going to be incredibly difficult because each one of their opponents has a record that is better than 500. And so they knew it was going to be no easy task if they wanted to try to run the table, or if they could go 4-1 in the last 5 weeks or so, including the Chicago game, to be able to pull off some sort of run here to get into the playoffs. Is it a good thing that they were able to keep it close and be within striking distance? Yes, because I do think that signals to us that, hey, maybe this team isn't isn't as far away as a lot of people believe that they are. You know, they could be one or two players on the defensive side of the football, one or two players on the offensive side of the football. And how you acquire said players is, that's up to GMs and everybody else and personnel decision makers. That's why that's why they're in their position, and we're here. But you look at it and it's like it's a one-score game against the best team in the division. It's a one-score game in a team that with Green Bay at 10-3, they're right up there with the New Orleans Saints who are 10-3, and those are the top two leaders right now for best in the entire conference. It was a well-played game for the most part. You lose by a score. I think there's a lot of positives that the fan base can kind of take away from this, and the football team as well. I think that they put some good things out there, but they have to still continue to try to find a way to dial up some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And it's not going to get easier when you have Tom Brady in your near future. You have Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry. That rushing offense with Tennessee is coming up, and of course Kirk Cousins and company at the end of the season with Dalvin Cook. We know what he can do.
Well, I know interim head coach Darrell Bevell would have liked for that one to be in the win column today. I know the Lions were kind of hoping that they had a chance at running the table. Obviously, this loss to the Packers stunts those chances they have at winning out the rest of the season. But we want to hear what Darrell Bevell had to say about this loss to the Packers. So let's take you now to Darrell Bevell's press conference.
All right, hey, just start off. I thought our guys did a great job of going out there and fighting in this game. I'm really proud of them. We knew that this thing was going to be a dogfight, and we were going up against one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it in this league. And to be able to be in it at the end of the game right there with one possession to determine it, I was really proud of guys and how they fought, and they finished all the way to the end.
Justin, go ahead. Hey, Coach, you talked about razor thin margin there. There was two plays that were reviewed there. There was the Marvin Jones touchdown catch and the onside kick. Both looked really close. Just wondered what you saw from your perspective during those replays.
Yeah, Justin, I saw just that. Thought Marvin made a really good attempt at the ball. I saw the ball in his hands, and it was a play worth challenging. Give us an opportunity to be down there in the 1 or 2 or in the end zone. So big play there. And then the last one, the onside kick. It's that's a booth review for us, and we gave ourselves a chance, and that's what we were looking for.
Give up the 14-play drive. That is what it is. But to go 3 and out on offense and put your entire defense back out there, how big was that swing for you guys today?
Yeah, that was that's not how we wanted to start the second half. They came out and went on a long drive. When that happens, is for the offensive side of the ball, we need to respond and do a good job of giving our defense time to rest. And we didn't do that. We went out 3 and out, put them back out there, and I think they had another long drive. Fortunately for us, we were able to kind of get it settled there. But that was a big swing in the game.
Mike Rossian.
Hey, Darrell, how are you? Curious, obviously, what's going on right now with Matthew Stafford? He obviously didn't go back in the game towards the end. What type of update can you give?
Yeah, Mike. Right now, he's still being assessed. In the locker room. So I had to get up here before I could get all the information. So we'll continue to tell you more tomorrow.
Is there any concern that this is significant enough where he might miss next week, next few weeks, the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell. Matthew Stafford's as tough as they come. He's a huge competitor. I know he's going to want to be out there with his team, so it's going to have to be pretty drastic for him not to be in there.
Yep. Thanks.
Dave?
Sorry, Darrell was just unmuting that. I don't know if you could pay attention to it as the game's going on, but can you speak to the lengths that Stafford was going to try to get back in the game there in the fourth quarter?
I didn't see the whole thing there, Dave, but I know that, just from the information I got, he was back there. Obviously, we got to figure out what he's capable of doing. Number one, can he protect himself? And then obviously number two, can he function and can he throw the ball and that kind of thing. So we were assessing that and just felt that that's, at that time it was more important to get Chase out there and, not put him back in that situation.
Was it a pain tolerance thing or pain management thing, or were there things that he could not do at that point?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both.
And then if he cannot go, and I know this is looking ahead, but you were part of this team last year, obviously, when you lost him for a long stretch of time. What sort of bind does that leave your offense in?
Well, it's next man up, I have confidence in Chase. That's why we have him here. I also have the utmost confidence in David Blau. I thought he performed really well last year when he had opportunities to go in there. All of us will rally around him. This is a huge team game, and offense, defense, special teams, we're all going to be in this thing together, and we're going to fight to the end.
And then last thing for me, I don't see anybody else in the queue here. So those two drives in the third and fourth quarter when you guys were struggling to get off the field, what was it? Why could you not get off the field? I know there was the one penalty early, but was there anything else that was going on that you couldn't figure out, solve to get off?
Yeah, I mean, again, you're going up against a great offense there and a great quarterback. I think we did get them in a couple of some longer situations that they were able to get to convert those into shorter situations. Got to do a better job on third down, make those a little bit longer, so it's harder to convert some of those. But we'll go back and we'll make those corrections and look at it on tape.
And just to be clear, when I logged on, did you say Stafford was still getting X-rays? Is that what he was doing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, three more. Carlos. Carlos, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, hey, Darrell, just, your feelings about getting DeAndre Swift out there again. He was somewhat effective, but, just for a young player to get back out on the field, shows effectiveness. How good was it for him to be out there?
Yeah, it's great to have DeAndre back out there. I think he brings a boost to our offense, both in the run game and the pass game. And, we'll continue to be able to get him more involved as these weeks go on.
And just what is he, did you have to talk to him, or did you feel his spirits were up anymore being able to get back on the field after dealing with his medical issues?
Yeah, I think for all these guys, Carlos, when they get an opportunity to get back on the field, I mean, it's what they love to do. And I saw a hop in his step. I saw a smile on his face, and he wants to do everything he can to help the team.
Thank you.
Yep.
Woj.
Hey, Darrell, before the injury, even for most of the game, Stafford was pretty much matching Aaron Rodgers touchdown drive for touchdown drive, with the difference being defense. What did that say? Did that, surprise you? You guys hung in there with the Packers the entire time, and maybe if he had stayed in, you could have pushed it even further?
To be honest with you, it doesn't surprise me. I'm proud of the team. Like I said at the beginning of this thing, these guys are ready to fight. They want to continue to play week in and week out. I think that as you saw, I mean, they were in it to the end, and we're going toe to toe with one of the best teams, obviously in our division, but also in the NFC. And so I couldn't be happier for these guys and the way that they play.
Last one, Justin.
You lost Everson Griffin over the weekend to the COVID protocols, and I know we're seeing this stuff all over the league, but with the depletion of talent you have on the defensive line with injuries already, how difficult was that to adjust to the game plan and losing a defensive player of his capability that late in the week?
Yeah, it's always tough to lose players of that caliber, but we had guys, Kareem Martin was able to get in there and get some reps for us, and just a lot of guys that gave effort. They fought. They put their best ability out there. Would we love to have Everson? Absolutely, and I think you could make a difference for us. But that wasn't the case today, and the other guys went in there and gave it all they had.
Well, you heard it from the interim head coach there, the update on Matthew Stafford. He was getting x-rays after the game. They are still checking him out, and they plan to update us a little bit later on how Stafford is feeling. With that, let's bring in Lomas Brown down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. Lomas, happy to have you here to break down this game. Obviously, we just mentioned Matthew Stafford and his injury, but he did put together a pretty good game, obviously under a whole lot of pressure from that Green Bay defense. What did you make of Matthew Stafford in this game?
He did, Tori. I asked Coach Bevell about how he thought Matthew played while he was in the game, and he was very pleased with the way he played. I thought Matthew moved the offense when they had to move. They kept drives going. He was in total control. So I thought Matthew did everything that he had to do. Unfortunately, he got hurt during the game and couldn't finish the game. But I thought the offense did enough. Of course, we need more help from the defensive side of the ball. But offensively, I was very pleased with how they controlled the game, how they got first downs, and they scored when they had the opportunity to.
Yeah, it certainly felt like early on in this game, Lomas, that if the Lions wanted to win this one, they were going to have to win it in a shootout. It almost felt like they needed to score on every drive because it looked like that's what the Packers were going to be able to do. Of course, the Lions defense was able to settle the Packers down a little bit there in the first half, get a huge stop before the half to keep them from scoring. However, the third quarter was really the breaking point for this game. An 8-minute and 49-second drive followed by a 7-minute and 49-second drive, both from the Green Bay Packers. What did the Packers do so well in those two drives?
Yeah, Tori, they really controlled the line of scrimmage. That's where it started at, right up front. They were able to handle us in the pass rush, so we couldn't get any pressure on Aaron. And then the run game, they were able to stay on our guys, sustain their blocks. That gave Aaron Jones and that gave Williams the opportunity to run the ball. So you were absolutely right. And then the other thing the defense did to themselves, Tori, they wore themselves out. Anytime you let a team go on a 14-play, 8-minute drive, and then you go 3 plays and out, then you have to go back out there for 7 or 8 plays, it's going to kill any defense.
Yeah.
And you could see it the rest of the second half, especially the later we got in the fourth quarter. Those guys were just so tired. They were basically just hanging on. So, again, what we have to do is be able to curve some of those long drives by teams. That's what we wanted to do to Aaron Rodgers, was to have long drives and keep him on the sideline.
Right.
But it worked the opposite way, and I really thought that was a detriment to our defense, especially, again, later in the game.
Well, you have to consider the fact that the Lions were pretty beat up on defense today. Obviously missing Jeff Okudah at cornerback. Darrell Roberts, who was filling in at the outside corner position, he went down partway through this game. Mike Ford steps in. Now, both of those guys had big plays in this game. They had pretty nice pass breakups. But, the Lions were thin in the secondary. And on top of that, Everson Griffin is on the COVID-19 list, so he was not able to play in this game. How much did you feel like injuries impacted what the Lions were able to do on defense?
Big time, Tori. You are absolutely right, because you remember we always say that the pass rush and the secondary are tied in together. You don't get that pass rush, you put those guys in the secondary in a bad position, and that's what happened. Like you said, we were already short coming in the secondary. To lose a guy like Everson Griffin not playing that game, that took away some of the pressure that we had. But I think the real thing was we didn't get enough middle pressure on Aaron Rodgers. We got outside pressure on Aaron, but we didn't get the middle pressure. And when you get that middle pressure, Tori, you get your hands up, you get in the passing lanes, you get in his face, and it kind of makes it a little harder for him to throw that ball. So to me, I wish we could have got that up front pressure. I think that would have helped the overall pressure of the defense a lot more. So, yep, we always say defense, line, secondary, they're tied together, especially off the pass rush.
Yeah, absolutely. So injuries certainly played a part in this game. Another injury we did mention, Matthew Stafford going down late in this game. Unfortunately, he left with that rib injury. But Chase Daniel stepped in at quarterback, Lomas, and I felt like Chase did a pretty good job. He was throwing in the face of a lot of pressure. He almost had a touchdown run himself if it hadn't been called back on penalty. What did you think of what Chase Daniel did when he stepped in?
That's the advantage of having a veteran, Tori. He, like you say, he stepped right in there. And normally, if you get your starting quarterback hurt and you put another quarterback in there, a lot of the offensive coordinators, they'll start taking plays out the playbook. I didn't feel like Coach Bevell had to do that with Chase Daniels. He got right in there. He was throwing some of the same plays that Matthew Stafford was using. So to me, he stepped in, and it was almost kind of seamless. Yeah, you would rather have Matthew in there, but if you got a backup quarterback that can step in there and keep things going the way Chase did, that's a big advantage for the Detroit Lions offense. So I'm with you. I felt that he did a great job, especially as late as Matthew got hurt. It's hard standing on the sideline the whole game and then just being thrown in the game like that. I thought he did an excellent job of going in and filling in for Matthew.
Well, Chase Daniel is the quarterback who came to the virtual podium to talk with reporters after this game. So let's take you to that press conference and hear what Daniel had to say about this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as a backup quarterback, right, you're supposed to be ready at any given moment. And it was a pretty crucial part of the game. So for me, I was just trying to stay warm on the sideline, get stretched. I mean, we were waiting there for 57 minutes or whatever it was in the game. So, but, like I said, life of a backup. Wasn't sure what was going to happen. He went in a couple times, got it wrapped up, whatever. So for me, it was just like, all right, finally got the go-ahead. Hey, you're going in, and, just try to move the ball down the field.
I don't think we're going to talk to him after this game. Can you just describe the way he's feeling or his mindset after the injury?
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's honestly one of the toughest guys and competitors that I've ever been on a team with. I mean, it's very well written about. The dude's a warrior, and he's hurting right now, but I think he's gonna work whatever he's got through it, and try to be out there for the team.
Thank you, Chase.
Dave? So, Chase, real quick, back to when you guys were on the sideline warming up. Was he, I don't know, in pain? Could you tell he was in pain? What was going on with him at that moment?
Yeah, he was in pain for sure. I mean, he had just gotten bent over backwards and sideways, so he took a crucial hit on. But he was the main reason why we scored on that drive. Right, that was a big 3rd down, 3rd and 4, I think. Got a yard or 2 past the sticks, got the 1st down. Next play we scored, and he came off, holding down there, and saw the hit on the replay. I mean, it wasn't dirty or anything like that, but it looked like it hurt.
Do you expect to start next week at this point?
I have no idea. I mean, for me, as I've been anywhere on this journey of the NFL, like I've always prepared like a starter. So if they need me, I'll be ready.
Do you know? Did you talk to Matthew after he got the X-rays? Do you know if he has broken ribs or anything?
Yeah, I have no idea. You guys are just have to wait. He didn't say anything. He just literally got back.
Okay. Have you played with rib injuries before? What is that like for a quarterback?
I haven't, but I know for a fact that when you try to throw a football and your hip shoulder dissociation and your sort of torque comes in your midsection, and your ribs are in your midsection, so you can imagine the pain that it would cause.
All right, last thing, just I know you weren't out there for that one, but they had the long drive to start the second half, and then you guys went 3 and out, then they had the other long one. That 3 and out right there, I don't know, did you see anything that happened in that series that maybe cost you guys the inability to stay on the field?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever been a part of somewhere where, and me and Matthew were talking about this, where we only had, we had 3 plays in the 3rd quarter, and that's tough. We put our defense in a tough spot. That's really what we talked about. Just couldn't convert on that 3rd and 6 to Marv on a little in and out route. So we ended up just putting our defense in a really bad spot, honestly, to be out there really the whole 3rd quarter.
Not too much extra insight on Matthew Stafford's status from the quarterback, Chase Daniel, who stepped in after Stafford went down. But Daniel is completely right that those 3 plays that they got in the 3rd quarter were really crucial, because the Lions really needed a drive right there, but they were only able to put together 3 plays and then went 3 and out. All right, guys, we've still got a lot more to talk about here on the postgame show, including getting to our play of the game, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this break.
Priorities shift from rush hours to slow breakfasts, from busy schedules to scheduled downtime. And as life happens, shifts and surprises are sure to follow. At Priority Health, we'll always be ready to shift with you, from complicated policies to ones written by humans, from a plan for 1 to a plan for 3. Because your priorities have shifted, maybe it's time your health insurance did too.
All for leaving opponents in our dust, linebackers and cancer alike. All for believing in ourselves, even when victory seems impossible. All for working tirelessly as one for the good of all around us. As the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions, Henry Ford Health System is proud to keep our greatest athletes and their biggest fans at their best. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
As a Marine, I learned resiliency. But when I lost my job, my home, and was living out of my car, I felt like a shadow of that person. Now, I'm working to end veteran homelessness. Nearly 40,000 veterans struggle like I did. But with the help of Rocket Mortgage and Built for Zero, my community has ended veteran homelessness. Yours can too. Join us. Visit ahomeforeveryvet.org to get involved.
Welcome back into the Detroit Lions postgame show presented by Priority Health. I'm Tori Petrie. We are covering the Lions' 31-24 loss to the Green Bay Packers here in Week 14. Let's bring back in our analyst Lomas Brown down at the Henry Ford Health System update desk. Lomas, we've got to talk about our play of the game, and we will get to that. But I got to say, I would have loved for this play of the game to be that long pass to Marvin Jones Jr. that sure looked like a catch to me. What did you think of that one?
Tori, you sure I can't make that my play of the game, even though it wasn't? Oh my God, I was just up on the third floor, and just to see him contort his body, just to even catch the pass and almost get his feet in bounds. To me, it was incredible. So, you sure I can't use that as my play of the game?
I wish we could.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I wish we could. But we will go to another good play in this game, and that is the touchdown pass to TJ Hawkinson. What did you see from this first score from the Lions?
Well, the good thing about it is the Lions kind of set this up. It was great play design by Coach Bevell, where they had all the motion going one way. They brought TJ underneath, and it was just a quick little flick of the wrist for Matthew Stafford. Just a 2-yard pass, but it was a great pass. Matthew did a great job of setting it up, not showing that it was going to be that pass. And that's what has to happen. The offensive line, they came off low and sustained their blocks, and it was just a beautiful design and a beautiful run and executed play by the Detroit Lions.
Well, and a solid game overall for TJ Hawkinson. The Lions needed someone to step up on offense, considering they still don't have Kenny Golladay back. Obviously, getting DeAndre Swift back today was huge, and he had some key plays in this game. But TJ Hawkinson, he had 6 receptions for 43 yards today, averaging 7.2 yards a catch. 1 touchdown, of course. So TJ Hawkinson was key in this game. Lomas, if you had to look at this game as a whole, which players would you say you can take away as positives from this one?
Well, again, like you're saying, TJ, DeAndre was good. Tori, I'm going to stay up front with the big fellas. I thought Matt Nelson, stepping in and starting, his first start in the NFL. I thought Matt did a nice job, maybe 1 or 2 negative plays that he had all game long. I was really pleased with him. You look on the defensive side of the ball, I was pleasantly pleased with Deshaun Hand, Austin Bryant, John Pennicini. Those guys up front, they really played hard. They really pretty much held Green Bay's run game. It was just Mr. Rogers in his neighborhood that killed us today. But I was real proud of those guys, because you think about all the grief they've taken, especially the defense and the defensive front all year long. Those guys really stepped up today and almost helped us get the victory today.
All right, Lomas, well, as you look at this game, obviously it's disappointing that it turned out to be a loss. I know the Lions had hopes of potentially running the table the rest of the season, but of course they have a tough schedule up ahead, and it started with the Green Bay Packers today. What do you take away from this game, even though the Lions lost it?
Tori, I'm just so proud of how these guys are playing for Coach Bevell. You look at it, they just look like a totally different team. And the other thing I love is when they go into halftime, they make adjustments. You could see it when they come back out the second half. Again, Green Bay was pretty much having their way with us early in the game. We made adjustments to slow them down. Last week with Chicago, coming back to win that game. So I love the fight that this team has, the fight that Coach Darrell Bevell has brought to this team, because you could really see it out there on the field. So hopefully they can keep that going there. And I'm hoping, Tori, I hope everything isn't wins and losses. I hope everybody, especially ownership and everybody, could look at how these guys have responded, how they're playing on the field, just little individual things. I don't think you can tell the picture every time by wins and losses.
Well, the Lions have 3 more games left in this season next week with the Tennessee Titans. Then they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the day after Christmas here at Ford Field, and finally host the Minnesota Vikings to close out the season just after New Year's. Lomas, where do the Lions go from here with this tough schedule that they've got ahead of them, considering they no longer have a shot at running the table?
Yeah, so Tori, what I would do is I'll start working on my strengths. So the little things, depending on if Matthew is coming back or if he'll be back next week. DeAndre Swift coming back. So he's a guy that I would, if I was Coach Bevell, incorporate a lot more into my offense. Some of those younger guys I talked about on the defensive side of the ball, giving them more play down the stretch so you can really see what you have, so you can evaluate your talent, because that's what it's all about at this point. You have to evaluate and see who's going to be on your team next year. We know it's going to be a lot of new faces, especially up front, coaching position, but it's also a lot of new faces on the team, members of your team. So I think they can use this time, these last 3 games, to evaluate what they have, because these are 3 real good teams that we're getting ready to face down the line. So I know you'll be able to tell a lot about yourself and a lot about your team after you go through a gamut like these 3 games that we have left.
Absolutely. And oh, by the way, Derrick Henry, who the Lions will face next week, had over 200 rushing yards today in his game with the Tennessee Titans. The Lions have got to be able to stop that guy next week, so that's going to be a huge challenge
Tori,
for them.
that's like trying to stop a lineman, big as that guy is. It's just seems like it's unfair sometimes for that guy to be that big and that good.
Well, don't you guys worry. We will be back here with a pregame show and a postgame show when the Lions take on the Tennessee Titans next week. That game is at 1 p.m. on Fox. But don't forget, the week after that, the Lions play on Saturday instead of Sunday. So that's something important to remember. Lomas, we're pretty much wrapping up here on our postgame show, but I would be remiss if I did not wish a couple of happy birthdays here on the show. First off, we got to wish happy birthday to key members of our new media team, John Bondegard and Neil Larson. Today is their birthday, and our producer of our postgame show, Derek Heitman, has a birthday coming up here in a couple of days. So happy early birthday to Derek Heitman. I can say that because he hasn't chirped in my ear yet at all about the Gators losing yesterday to LSU, Lomas.
Yeah, and Derek, we might have to have some words for Derek after the segment. Tori, me and you might have to have some words for Derek.
Yeah, we might. Definitely a disappointing game for our Gators on Saturday, Lomas.
Very disappointing.
A disappointing loss for the Lions today, but a lot of positives to take away from it as well. Lomas, thank you so much for joining me here on the postgame show presented by Priority Health.
Thanks, Tori.
All right, guys, that does it for this Week 14 show here at Ford Field. Don't forget, we'll be back here next week with our pregame show ahead of the Lions matchup with the Tennessee Titans. Thanks for joining us.